My sister borrowed $200,000 from me and went on a trip to Europe with her husband and his parents. 3 days later, she called me and shouted, "Stop this right now. My name's Adam. I'm 35, a film director, the oldest child, the one who keeps the calendar straight when everyone else forgets what day it is. I live out of color-coded call sheets. My phone is full of scene notes, casting ideas, and voice memos of me reminding myself to breathe. I don't drink on set. I don't miss deadlines, and if you hand me a problem at 2 a.m., I will quietly solve it before sunrise. My sister Laya is 2 years younger. She calls me Hollywood like it's an insult. Married to a guy named Brett who wears loafers without socks and says networking every third sentence. Their group photos always have identical smiles and expensive counters behind them. Marble, quartz, whatever's trending. The night it started, I was at Mom's house picking up a box of old Super 8 reels. I promised to digitize. Mom was fussing with a pie that didn't need fussing. Laya and Brett were at the table leaning into their phones, thumbs moving like they were paid by the swipe. The TV played a travel show about Lake Co. Everyone pretended not to watch it, but the room kept glancing up like the screen was pulling strings. Laya didn't look up when I walked in. "Adam," she said, bored tone. I still on her phone. "You're late again." I checked my watch. I was 15 minutes early. "I'm on time." She smirked at Brett. "Directors, time is a suggestion to them." "Funny," I said. "I brought Dad's old reels." Mom smiled like the word Dad was a draft she needed to fix. "That's nice, honey." We sat. There was this static in the air. Laya reached for the salad, wrists stacked with bracelets that clicked like they were keeping score. She set the bowl down and finally looked at me. "You'll be glad to know we figured out your role," she said. "My role in the family." She shrugged. "You direct, we live. You invest in futures like ours, and in return you get to feel useful. That's the win-win." Brett laughed. "He's the structure. We're the story." My fork paused halfway to my mouth. The room went quiet. The show on TV filling the silence with soft piano music and blue water. Mom cleared her throat. "Don't start," she said to me like I was the one who just assigned myself a job nobody offered. "I'm not starting," I said. Yayla leaned back, eyes steady. "Good, because this is how it's going to be from now on." Adam, less resistance. There was a second where I thought I'd misheard, or maybe she meant something normal. But she held my gaze and I felt that small snap inside like a thread breaking. I didn't say anything smart. I didn't throw a fit. I put my fork down, folded the napkin, and said, "Okay." Nobody moved. Laya smiled like she'd landed a plane. Somewhere on TV, someone dived into a bright lake. Somewhere in my chest, a door closed. I took the reels and left. I told myself I was reading too much into it. I told myself it was just Hila being Hila. I told myself a lot of things until the night I opened my banking app and understood exactly what she meant by less resistance. I was 12 when Dad handed me the first camcorder. He'd been laid off that month, so we didn't go out to eat. We ate grilled cheese and watched movies and talked about shots and why some scenes felt true. When he died, the camera came to me like a baton in a relay nobody else wanted to run. I took night classes. I paid on awful commercials. I shot weddings for people who said, "Make us look like a film." Every check went to rent, equipment, or paying down the student loans that turned my 20s into a long hallway with fluorescent lights. Yayla didn't do hallways. She did skylights. New phones, new trips, new reasons, and I was the fix. I paid her deposit when her first apartment unexpectedly needed 3 months up front. I paid for Brett's bridge month when he left a job to launch something that never launched. I covered a dentist bill, a car repair, another dentist bill. Each time came with a blonde smile and a promise. "Just this once, you're amazing. We'll pay you back." Mom fed the script. "Your sister isn't built like you." She'd say, "You're strong, you'll be fine." Translation: "You recover fast so you can take the hit." When my first feature premiered, Laya missed the screening because of a yoga retreat. She sent a heart emoji and a long voice note about how proud she was while asking casually at the end if I could float her for 2 weeks. I did, of course I did. Here's the boring part. The part nobody puts in a montage. Spreadsheets, tax folders, line items. The IRA I opened with $50 auto deposits. The production LLC with its own account so I wouldn't blur my money with investor money. The habit of photographing every receipt like it mattered because it did. In January, I sold a script. The kind of deal with milestones, deliverables, and a wire that made me sit down when the notification hit. Part of it was earmarked for crew bonuses on a brutal indie I just wrapped. Part of it was the down payment for a small house near the studio, so I could stop living out of boxes. The rest was cushion, a thing I'd never had. I called Mom. She said, finally, like I'd graduated from being useful to being very useful. 2 weeks later, Laya invited us all over. Big roast, new candles that smelled like old money. Brett was already pouring glasses when I arrived. He clinked mine to family ventures, he said. Red flag, but I set it down gently. We ate, we did small talk. The travel show was on again. Lake Coe's water looked like a screensaver. Laya waited until the plates were stacked and then put her phone face down like she was about to deliver a TED Talk. So she said, "We're going to Europe." Mom clasped her hands. How lovely. With Brett's parents, Laya added, "They've never been. It'll be, life-changing. A bonding experience before the next chapter." Next chapter, I said. She shrugged. We're trying this summer, so it's kind of now or never for a long trip. Mom's eyes flicked to me like I was the person signing the permission slip. I'm happy for you, I said. I meant it. Sort of trips are fine. Babies are fine. Life is fine. Yayla breathed in. All theatrics. We are a little tight, though. There it was. Brett stared at the ceiling like finances were a weather pattern he couldn't control. How tight? I asked. Lala laughed too brightly. Not tight. Tight. Just the flights are insane and hotels in August are, Mom jumped in. Your sister deserves something nice. You work all the time, Adam. You never even use your vacation days. I stared at them. My pocket buzzed. Production text. Schedule change because a location pulled out. Under it, a weather alert. Under that, a PayPal request from Laya. Captioned deposit. I didn't open it. How much? I asked again. Laya twirled a bracelet. We'll pay you back as soon as we're back. It's not even a loan. More like a temporary transfer. Temporary. Brett echoed. How much? Hila inhaled like she was about to dive. 200. I blinked. 200. What? She blinked back. Innocent 1,000. The room tilted. My brain did this stupid thing where it separated syllables out of habit like I was editing dialogue. 2. 100. Thou sand. I laughed. Actually laughed. No, Adam, Mom said sharply. Don't be cruel. Cruel, I said. Laya set her phone upright, screen black like an eye. We know you can. It's your role. My jaw locked. I stood, grabbed my jacket. I can't and I won't. Hila's mouth twisted. Wow, she said. Money changed you. I walked out. My hands shook on the drive home. I tried to breathe through it. Stupid, simple breaths. 2 days passed. I went back to set. I watched actors say lines about forgiveness I had written months earlier for a character who wasn't me. I turned my phone upside down and tried not to look. Then Tuesday night, I opened my banking app to schedule crew bonuses. The number stared back at me. Less. So much less. My thumb went cold. 2 transfers. Same day. External transfer memo. Travel. External transfer memo. Family support. 2 separate amounts with a fine print note about linked devices and existing authorization. I froze. I went to passwords. My phone, my laptop, my tablet. I kept them tight since the first time Brett updated my settings for convenience. I turned off Face ID for other faces. I'd removed every trusted device except my own. I scrolled payments. I scrolled again. I saw a third entry. Authorized user added platinum. I scrolled the vault of scan papers I keep for tax season. Sat there on my couch holding my breath until my head ached. There, buried after a folder of casting agreements, was a PDF labeled simply, Help Laya Mom. I opened it and saw a power of attorney form from 2 years ago when I'd been in Vancouver for a shoot, and Mom had a scare with the house. I'd filled one out temporarily so she could sign a property tax thing while I was in the air. We'd never canceled it. I hadn't even thought about it since. I called Mom. She answered on the second ring, breathless. Don't you dare raise your voice at me, she started. I didn't say anything. I said, Where's Laya? Don't you speak to your sister like she's a criminal. Where is she? Packing, Mom said. Their flight is in the morning. I stared at the wall. You used my form. It's family, she said like the word was a key that unlocked every door. It's theft, I said. Silence, then a soft cluck. You'll get it back. Don't be dramatic. $200,000 temporary, less resistance. A black screen like an eye watching me sit very still. That night I didn't sleep. At dawn I made coffee I didn't drink. I opened the shared photo album Mom insists on using for birthdays. A new upload popped up. Weila's boarding pass under a glass of airport champagne. Caption, CCO responsibilities. Then Brett's photo of 4 passports on a marble counter. His lias his parents found like a prize hand. I stared until my eyes stung. Then I turned my phone landscape and started taking screenshots. 3 days later, my phone rang while I was blocking a scene. Unknown number, European country code. I sent it to voicemail. It rang again. Same number. Then Ila's name popped up with a FaceTime request. I stepped away from the lights and answered audio only. Her voice hit me like cold water. Adam, stop this right now. I'm working, I said. Turn it off. Whatever you did, undo it. Be specific. Her breath came fast like she'd been running. The card doesn't work. The hotel says the payment reversed. The flight's home. There's some hold. Brett's parents are in the lobby and everyone is staring at us like we're scammers. I leaned against a wall, stared at a dent where a Cian had kissed the paint last week. Right, I said. Adam, she hissed. Mom said you'd be reasonable. This is humiliating. I sent documentation to the bank. I said fraud affidavit. The POA is revoked. Also, the police report's filed. You filed the police? Are you insane? I kept my voice level. A lawyer's looped in. Lia, you signed an internal transfer out of an account you had no right to touch using a power you never had. We'll let the bank sort it. You're taking this too far, she snapped. You don't want this to get ugly. Brett's dad knows people. We can make this very complicated for you. Lia, I said. You already did. Silence, then the switch to manipulation like a gear change. What about the baby? She asked quietly. We told you. We're trying. Stress isn't good. Do you want to be the reason? Don't, I said. Do not put a pretend baby between my money and your trip. She sucked in a breath. Wow, she said. You really are heartless. I took my phone off my ear and looked at her name glowing green like it was an alien signal. Put it back. The crew bonuses go out Friday. I said the guys who worked nights in the rain, they're getting paid. The house closes in 2 weeks. My attorney will be in touch about a repayment plan and the criminal side. I'm also freezing anything with my name on it that you touched, and I'm notifying every lender who added you without my consent. You're ruining us, she said. Over what? Over a family trip. Over $200,000 of my money, I said flat. Over a lifetime of you expecting me to fix your choices. Brett's voice cut in the background. Put him on speaker, then louder. Adam, buddy, don't call me buddy. I said, look, clearly there's been a misunderstanding. We'll pay you back when we refinance. I laughed once, it sounded ugly. When you refinance what? Brett, your vibes, Adam. Lia said, crisp now. Stop the chargeback, stop the report. We will wire something today. Send it to my attorney. I said, Adam, she tried again. Soft this time, Hollywood. It used to be a joke that stung. Now it was just noise. I have to get back to set. I said, this conversation is over. You'll regret this. She snapped. Mom will never forgive you. Then I guess we're all finally being honest, I said and hung up. I stood there in the quiet corridor with a roll of gaffer tape at my feet and the smell of paint and cheap coffee in the air. I could hear my first AD calling for a reset. Somewhere down the hall, an actor ran lines under his breath. I walked back in, nodded at camera, and said from the top. The bank froze everything with my name faster than I expected. Fraud department, red flags, hold codes I wrote down in a notes app. One titled, Lia. The POA got revoked in a conference room where my lawyer used phrases like egregious breach and unauthorized enrichment. I asked him if we had to go nuclear. He looked at the numbers and said, You're already in the mushroom cloud. Mom left 8 voicemails the first day. The first 3 were anger. How could you do this to your sister? The next 3 were bargaining. Just lift the hold for one hotel, Adam. They're being embarrassed. And the last 2 were the tired martyr voice I knew too well. You're tearing this family apart. I saved them all. I didn't reply. On set, I was steady in a way that scared me. It was like directing on a cliff ledge. Your feet feel the edge, but your hands still draw the same straight lines. I watched dailies at midnight. I sent crew bonuses Friday, and one grip texted me a photo of a rent receipt with thank you and a heart. I stared at it like it was proof humanity still made sense. Weila's Instagram went quiet. Brett's parents' account did not. A post from an anonymous account popped into my DMs. A photo of them at a front desk, faces blurred. Text overlay. When your luxury plan meets reality, I didn't share it. I don't do public humiliation. I don't need the internet to clap for me. I needed my money back and my boundaries to mean something. By Monday, my lawyer had drafted a repayment schedule with teeth. Accountants put the numbers in a table that looked boring until you realized each cell was a month of someone else's entitlement. Interest, defaults, consequences. He CC Laya and Brett. Brett replied 3 minutes later. We won't sign anything until we talk like adults. Family shouldn't involve lawyers. Laya replied 5 minutes after that. A paragraph about love and duty and how I'd forgotten where I came from. I wrote back one line. You can address counsel. That afternoon, the family group chat lit up. Aunties, cousins, people who hadn't sent me a congratulations text for my film, but suddenly had opinions about my heart. The most common theme, blood. As if blood was a contract I'd signed in my sleep. I muted the thread and went for a walk around the block. Pigeons fought over a croissant. A man yelled at a parking meter. Life kept being exactly what it is. That night, Mom called from a block number. I answered because I am sadly still me. She started with a sigh like I was already exhausting her. You've made your point, she said. It's not a point, I said. It's a boundary semantics. They're stranded. They are in Italy, I said. With access to 2 sets of parents, they are not stranded. She clicked her tongue. You've always been so cold, Mom, I said, keeping my voice even. I paid Lila's rent 3 times. I covered Brett's business launch. I bought tires for their car because they were dangerous. I sent cash when they lost a wallet. I let a temporary power of attorney linger because you asked me to. I am tired. Silence. Then the line went quiet in that specific way. That means tears. I closed my eyes and leaned my head back against the wall. You'll ruin the relationship, she said finally. It was already broken, I said. I'm just not pretending it isn't. For 2 weeks, I lived in 2 timelines. One was tight, work, sleep, lawyer spreadsheets. The other was loud. Relatives' messages. A call from Brett's dad that started calm and ended with a threat. He phrased as a favor. I recorded it, sent it to my lawyer. He laughed without humor. They're used to handshakes. He said, You're giving them contracts. 3 small things happened that shouldn't matter but did. First, my DP left a coffee on my chair with a note for whatever they took. He didn't mean the money. Second, I went to look at a house. Nothing special. White paint, crooked hallway, a backyard the size of a film trailer. The realtor talked about entertaining. I pictured a folding table with script pages spread out, a lamp, quiet. I put in an offer. I didn't tell anyone. Third, Laya texted me. I'm sorry. At 2:17 a.m., a minute later, can you call me? I stared at the screen until my eyes hurt. Then I put the phone face down and fell asleep for the first time in weeks. The next morning, my lawyer forwarded a wire transfer. The first chunk, it wasn't all. Nowhere close, but it was some. It came with a signed agreement after all. Minimum monthly amounts. Collateral listed as vehicle and non-retirement brokerages. I didn't gloat. I also didn't reply to Wila's apology. I let the document be the conversation. By Friday, the group chat had turned on itself. A cousin posted a paragraph about accountability. An aunt wrote, but family again. And another aunt wrote, he said in O. It was the strangest sensation. People arguing about me like I wasn't there. I closed the app. 2 days later, Laya swung by my apartment without warning. I opened the door to her face. Tired, puffy, less curated. No bracelets, no smile. Can we talk? She asked. We are, I said, and stepped aside because I was raised by the same woman who taught me to always offer water even when you wanted to throw the glass. She stood in my living room looking small. I messed up, she said, and for a second it sounded like truth. You stole, I said. She nodded. Brett said we could figure it out later, and Mom said you wouldn't miss it. And it felt like she choked on her own sentence. I'm sorry. I waited. People think apologies are a spell. They say the word and time rewinds. It doesn't. It just pauses. You still have to move. We signed, she added. We're paying. I sold some stocks, Dad. Brett's dead. She stopped. Whatever, I saw the transfer, I said. She looked up hopeful. So can you unfreeze the card just for groceries for a few weeks? I shook my head no, her mouth tightened. I said, I'm sorry. And I said no. She stared at me like I'd become a stranger. Maybe I had. Maybe that was the point. On her way out, she touched the boxes by my door. Books, a small lamp, the framed production still Dad took of me at 17, with a boom mic too heavy for my shoulder. Are you moving? She asked. Soon I said to where. Somewhere quiet, I said. She paused like she might say something real. Then she didn't. She left. The door clicked. My apartment felt huge. I closed my eyes and pictured Lake Como. Blue water, piano music, a woman with bracelets realizing you can't buy silence anymore. People think closure is a speech. It isn't, it's a list you keep on your phone and actually follow. I closed the old savings account and opened a new one with actual human eyes behind it. I removed every trusted device that wasn't mine, double-checked that Face ID was just my face, and deleted the ancient scan POA I should never have left floating like a loose nail on a set. I told my lawyer we were not pressing criminal charges for now, because I didn't want to tie my next year to courtrooms. I also told him that one missed payment triggers all. He said, "Good," in a tone that meant, finally. I bought the Crooked House. The first night in the quiet, I ate takeout off a moving box and listened to the refrigerator hum like a shy animal. I tacked a call sheet to the wall by the door out of habit. Scene 1, morning. Scene 2, coffee. Scene 3, write something anyway. My brain kept waiting for my phone to explode to shout me back into the role I used to play. It didn't. A text came from my grip. "The bonuses saved my month." Another from my editor were locked. Those messages felt like small, specific blessings. The kind you earn. "Mom hasn't been by. We spoke once." She tried to reframe the story without even hearing herself. It got out of hand. "It was a misunderstanding. You could have handled it privately." I said, "I did. You made it public." She said, "You're cruel." With her voice shaking, I said, "I'm consistent." When we hung up, I didn't cry. I made tea and trimmed an email because that's who I am when nobody's watching. Yayla and I text sometimes. Sure things, logistics, payments, a photo of a grocery list with the word budget on it. Hers, not mine. I didn't respond with a lesson. I'm done being a coach for people who don't show up to practice. I visit Dad's reel on my new shelf and say out loud, "I did it." He doesn't answer. He never did. He just stood next to me while I tried. Somehow that's enough. Brett sent a long apology email last week. It read like a legal document in a suit that didn't fit. He signed it with respect. I archived it. Respect isn't a paragraph. Respect is not touching what isn't yours. Respect is showing up when it's inconvenient and shutting up when it's time to listen. I saw a travel show last night while I was unpacking Lake Como again, because the algorithm knows I stared at those photos too long. The piano music was soft. The water was pretty. I didn't feel bitter. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt here in a house that's mine with a lock that turns and a bank account that holds. I keep one rule posted on my fridge now. It's printed in 14-point font like a script note. "I am not your ATM. It's not cute. It's not a joke." It's a boundary, simple, blunt, solid. Laya knows it. Mom knows it. I know it most of all. If you want the moral, it's boring because good morals usually are. People will use you as long as you let them. They will call it family. They will call it love. They will dress it in bracelets and soft words. And when you finally say no, they will call you names because their mouths have never practiced thank you, without again attached. Say no anyway. Say it until the echo gets quiet. I'm Adam. I direct things, shots, crews, my own life. The story I'm telling now has fewer characters, but the light feels clearer. The conflicts are genuine. The costs are real. And this time the final line is the only one that counts. I don't let anyone use me anymore.